Hello, I'm John Clohessy, Chief of Adult Reconstructive Surgery at Washington University School of Medicine in the Department of Orthopedics. I'd first like to welcome you to our practice and thank you for selecting us for your total joint replacement care. We have an outstanding team that is going to help you with your care and your journey through this process. We are part of the Orthopedic Surgery Department, which is one of the premier departments in the country. Collectively, we are focused on outstanding clinical care and innovation in orthopedic treatments. In total joint replacement, we have an incredible history of leading the way in innovative care, including rapid recovery and outpatient total joint replacement, robotics and computer navigation procedures, and the use of various surgical approaches and implants. We currently have several surgeons and a large, diverse group of healthcare providers who manage our clinical practice. The entire team is committed to safety and excellence in patient care. Thank you again for letting us provide your total joint replacement care. We hope the following information is helpful in preparing you for your journey and that you enjoy an excellent outcome.
Hello, and welcome to the Total Hip and Total Knee Replacement Discharge Readiness class. The purpose of this class is to provide you and your joint coach with the knowledge you need to succeed during your recovery process. Your education began at the pre-op class, and we will continue it today. Joint coaches are an important participant in your recovery. Please ensure they watch this video as well. The journey guide will be an asset in your recovery, so please keep it within easy reach for reference at home. Let's discuss 5 topics today: mobility and exercise, management of pain and swelling, management of constipation, prevention of blood clots, prevention of infections. The goal after total hip or total knee surgery is to return to as many normal activities of daily life as possible, while still following the surgical precautions given to you in the hospital. Activity has many benefits, including improving strength and endurance, reducing the risk of blood clots and pneumonia, decreasing pain, and minimizing constipation. Here are some suggestions to promote activity and mobility. Joint coaches should encourage 6 to 8 short walks every day with the walker or assistive device. Make sure patients change positions throughout the day between sitting, standing, walking, and lying down. Joint coaches, it might be helpful to make an activity schedule or phone alerts to remind the patient to get up and move or reposition. Ensure patients are performing their physical therapy exercises 2 to 3 times a day. To have even greater success with your knee joint replacement, your surgeon may recommend continuing your therapy at an outpatient therapy center. An outpatient therapy center is a fitness-type center that focuses on healing your joint with guidance from a physical therapist. At the therapy center, you and your physical therapist will follow your surgeon's strength training plan. This plan will help reduce soreness and stiffness and improve balance, movement, and control with your new joint. While daily activity is important for recovery, make sure you're not overdoing it. Know about any restrictions that are needed for healing. Your surgeon's office and therapy team will discuss these with you. For knee replacement patients, do not prop a pillow under the knee, causing it to bend. Extension of the knee when reclining is important for healing. Place a pillow under the ankle or elevate the leg on staircased pillows. Everyone feels pain differently. It may be referred to as soreness, achiness, burning. No matter what you call it, it is discomfort that interferes with daily life and even our mood. The goal is to improve comfort while maintaining movement. Here are some important points to remember. Pain can be challenging to control, and it may not be possible to eliminate pain completely. It is normal for pain to change between day and night and from day to day. Don't be alarmed if there is some increase in pain in the first few days at home. Patients are familiar with measuring their discomfort on a 0 to 10 pain scale. It represents varying levels of pain from 0, no pain, to 10, severe pain. Pain is most noticeable with movement, but it is important in the healing process. A lower pain level helps your recovery, and a high pain level slows recovery and requires more time and added effort. Joint coaches, It is good to know the patient's pain level when they go home. Pain is best managed with a variety of techniques, not just with medication. You can use a combination of strategies to help manage pain, such as movement and position. The patient should limit sitting for lengthy periods of time. Encourage walking around the house. Patients may sleep on their non-operated side with a pillow between the legs. Repositioning or shifting the leg just a little bit one way or another can make a world of difference. Then, support the position with pillows or a towel roll. Elevation. Knee replacement patients may find relief by elevating the leg with a pillow underneath the ankle or by resting the leg on stair-cased pillows. Ice or cold therapy. Applying ice decreases pain and swelling. It is important in the first several weeks. Remember to ice after walking, exercising, or for episodes of pain. Options include ice bags, frozen gel packs, or the make-your-own ice pack recipe found in the Journey Guide. Prepare extras ahead of time for immediate use. Distraction and relaxation. It's helpful to direct attention and conversation away from discomfort and toward other interests and encourage socializing and relaxation. Finally, medication. Here are a few important points to remember. Pain medication should be taken only as prescribed. It is important that you take your pain medications regularly as long as you are having pain. It may help to keep track of medications by creating a medication schedule. Setting an alarm helps you to remember the next dose on time. Remember, because it may take 30 to 60 minutes for patients to feel the benefit of pain medication, it's helpful to take it an hour before activities, exercises, and home visits with nursing and therapy. This is also important to remember if you are having a hard time sleeping because of pain. Patients should take their pain medication 30 to 60 minutes before bedtime. Sleeping pills are not recommended because of their side effects. It is common to have trouble sleeping for a few months after surgery, but it will improve over time. A common side effect of pain medication is nausea. We recommend eating food or a snack before taking the medication. Another side effect of pain medication is sleepiness or dizziness. If you see these things, do not take a narcotic pain pill. Instead, use previously discussed comfort techniques like cold therapy or changing position. If you need a refill on pain medication, please contact your surgeon's office before you run out of medication. As your pain lessens, take less pain medication. While weaning off pain medication, prioritize taking it prior to physical therapy and bedtime until you don't need it anymore. Swelling is an expected response after surgery, and swelling goes hand in hand with pain. Keep in mind these important points. It is common to have more swelling after activity or exercise. Swelling may increase several days after returning home. Swelling goes away very slowly. It may take weeks, even months, to go away completely. Managing swelling is similar to managing pain. Some of these strategies may sound familiar. Ice. Applying ice decreases swelling. When swelling decreases, pain decreases. The best practice is to apply ice for 20 minutes at a time consistently throughout the day. Consider icing as a priority for several weeks at home. Don't forget to ice after exercising or walking. Elevation. Elevate the operated leg on pillows when reclining. Hip replacement patients may elevate the leg on a pillow within their precautions and may lie on the non-operative side with a pillow between the legs to help reduce swelling. Knee replacement patients benefit most from the stair-cased pillows. When sitting in a chair, discourage dangling the legs for a lengthy period of time by using a footstool. Encourage loose-fitting clothing for comfort. Constipation is a common side effect of narcotic pain medication. Some ways to prevent and manage constipation include: drink plenty of fluids, especially water. Eat a diet high in fiber with lots of fruits and vegetables. Walking and completing your recommended exercises will help to stimulate the colon. Medication. Patients are prescribed a laxative combined with a stool softener twice a day to prevent constipation. This practice will continue at home. If constipation continues, first refer to the discharge instructions, or you may call the surgeon's office. Be aware, it may be necessary to balance laxative dosages with the narcotic dosages. For example, as narcotics are decreased over time, laxatives may not be needed as frequently, if at all. The risk of developing blood clots increases after surgery. When a blood clot forms in one of your deep veins, it's called deep vein thrombosis, or DVT. If the clot breaks free, it can move through your bloodstream to other parts of your body. Here are some things that you can do to prevent DVT. Prevention is focused on activity and medication. In the hospital, the patient wears compression sleeves on both legs to stimulate circulation until they are discharged home. Your nurse will go over your at-home blood clot prevention during discharge teaching. Once you get home, activity, exercises, and walking can prevent blood clot development by circulating the blood throughout the body. During long car rides, make sure to change your position frequently and stop hourly for a short walk. Based on your individual risk for developing a blood clot after surgery, your doctor may prescribe you medications called anticoagulants. Some examples include aspirin or warfarin. This medicine must be taken consistently and exactly as prescribed. One potential side effect of anticoagulants is bleeding. If you notice abnormal bleeding, please contact the surgeon's office. Infection of the wound slows recovery and may prevent full healing. Different surgeries and techniques may require different care and dressings. Incision care instructions are written on your discharge instructions. If a home health nurse visits you after discharge, the nurse will also review this care with you. Please follow these easy tips to reduce the possibility of infection. Practice frequent hand washing. Always wash your hands with warm soapy water or an antibacterial gel before and after wound care, and often throughout the day. Inspect the wound and dressing daily. Look for redness, drainage, warmth, odor, or opening of the surgical incision, or an elevated temperature. Call the surgeon's office if any of these are present. Change the dressing as instructed on the discharge instructions. Never touch the incision directly. Do not place ointments or cleansers on the incision. Do not place heat on the incision. It is important to maintain a clean home environment. Keep pets at a distance to prevent contamination of the wound. You can take showers, but waterproof your incision first. You can purchase Island waterproof dressing or use food wrap that you press and seal to waterproof your dressing. You cannot submerge your incision, such as in a tub, hot tub, pool, lake, or river, until it is healed and your surgeon gives you clearance. Dental procedures are not recommended for 6 months after your surgery. Please remember, for at least the next 2 years, you will need to take 1 dose of antibiotics 1 hour prior to going to your dentist's appointment. You can call your orthopedic surgeon's office to request an antibiotic prescription at that time. You also want to prevent an infection of the lungs or pneumonia. Chest congestion may occur if there isn't enough airflow. Here are some helpful hints. Make sure you take home your incentive spirometer or breathing machine after discharge. We recommend using the incentive spirometer for the first few weeks after returning home. When using the incentive spirometer, inhale on the plastic tube slowly and deeply for 10 breaths every hour while awake. You can stagger the breaths throughout the hour if necessary. A helpful hint is to encourage use every time a TV commercial comes on. Coughing during usage is normal and encouraged. If you have fever, use the incentive spirometer first, then recheck your temperature and call the surgeon's office if the temperature is still high. Walking also helps open the lungs and circulate oxygen. We discussed the most common and important topics today. Here are some final words of wisdom. Once you are home and settled, please sit down with your joint coach and review all the education provided: discharge instructions, precautions, physical or occupational therapy education, the journey guide, and anything else provided to you by your surgeon's office. In your journey guide, use the daily checklist and record times of pain medication on the medication tracker. Don't forget to try the exercises also outlined in the Journey Guide. We want your recovery to be successful. Remember, you are not alone. In addition to all the written education, you are encouraged to call the surgeon's team with questions or concerns. Phone numbers are printed on the discharge instructions as in the Journey Guide. We wish you a smooth and successful recovery. Thank you and happy healing.